Bub Carrington drops a career high 23 points, but the Washington Wizards do fall 125 to 111 to the Atlanta Hawks. So we're looking at the good, the bad, and ugly from last night's game and some buyout candidates and a couple of new additions to the Washington Wizards. Come on, rock with your boy. Next on Locked On Wizards.
You are Locked On Wizards, your daily Washington Wizards podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Your favorite podcast now has a newsletter. Introducing the Locked On Wizards daily newsletter, a one-stop shop for the ultimate team and league coverage delivered right to your inbox. Sign for free now at LockedOnDaily.com. That's LockedOnDaily.com. And start your day with all new free Locked On Wizards newsletter. Tonight's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. It's that easy. All right, everybody, a lot to talk about today. I'm gonna go over a recap of last night's game that I was definitely there. I was present. So we're gonna talk about that, and then we're gonna look at some buyout candidates for the Wizards. Could Malcolm Brogdon be bought out? I think there's a realistic chance, and we have a couple of new additions and a couple of young guards that were brought into the fold. So where do they fit into the rotation in DC? Because it's going to be a young team in the second half because their trade deadline has come and gone. All right, everybody, let's get into it. So looking at last night, obviously the Wizards, it was kind of one of those games where, you got to play 4 quarters, man. And the first half was a different story than the second half. And I believe the third quarter was that one defining moment that really changed the game last night. So let's get into it. And like I said, if you really look at the biggest reason we lost this game, I'm going to say just not fighting for 4 quarters. I mean, looking at the first quarter, entering the second quarter, the Wizards were up 30-26. And then the second quarter came around and we were outscored 37-28. And then the third quarter, 41-25. And then we tried to play catch up, 28-21, outscoring them by 7 points in the fourth quarter. But ultimately, the second and third quarters, we dug a hole. And, if you look at perimeter defense, that was the issue. If you look at the fact that they were able to shoot 40% from 3, and we were only able to shoot 25% from 3, we didn't capitalize on 3-point shooting, and they did at a high level. Field goal percentage, they shot 48.5. We shot around 44.1. But like I said, outside of us not fighting for 4 quarters, the biggest reason that we lost this game, in my eyes, was the lack of perimeter defense. And transition defense was better, but you still saw moments where they caught us sleeping. And there's a few times where we caught them sleeping in transition. So transition defense was a problem overall for both parties. So let's get into the stats for both teams real quick. 3-point shooting. Now, Trae Young's able to shoot 5 for 14 from 3. Let's see. Also, Niang shot 4 for 7 from 3, and then we saw Shea 2 for 3. But we knew that Trae Young was going to be the centerpiece of the Hawks offense, man. 35 points, 14 assists. So we know what he can do. 6 turnovers. So that's one good thing about the defense. They were able to force Trae Young into 6 turnovers. But, he's still able to get his. And Trae Young's one of those guys where he's very ISO heavy, and he's going to get his. Trae Young is going to get his stats, man. Especially when you look at the team where you got a young Reese Shea. Dyson Daniels, I think, is a good addition to them. Reese Shea dropping 18, and then Niang, dropping 16, Niang coming over from the Cleveland Cavaliers in the DeAndre Hunter move. So, like I said, I feel like at times the defense was kind of 50-50 on Trae Young, and he's just one of those guys where he's going to get his, man. He plays a very ISO-heavy game. Now, looking at the Wiz kids, let's start with Bub Carrington, y'all. Now, Bub Carrington, career high at 23 points. Bub Carrington, and I said all the time that both him and Keyshawn George are sleepers from the previous draft. And then when you add A.J. Johnson into the fold, he's another prospect that's going to do well in DC, in my opinion. A.J. Johnson, you just see the athleticism. But let's get back to Bub. B. Moore's Bub, man. Bub Carrington. He had a great game from the perimeter. 5 for 7 for 3. And like I said, I was there. And I saw that one 3-pointer, man, where he actually got hit behind the perimeter and still sunk the shot. So Bub Carrington did well, really well. And like I said, guys, Jordan Poole is the point guard for at least the next couple of years. Now, do really important decisions come up in 2 years when it comes to contracts? Yes. Bub Carrington, like I said, we'll see what the dynamics is point guard long term, because I can see, JP13 definitely being a long-term piece. But Bub Carrington, is a very intriguing prospect at point guard, because 7 assists to add to his 23 points, 9 for 13 from the field, and again, 5 for 7 from 3-point range, and 1 steal. So he looked good. And that's what I'm saying. I think Bub Carrington is a definite sleeper in this previous draft, man, because he just carries a lot of upside not only from a scorer's perspective, but from being that point guard, man. Jordan Poole did his thing as usual. Now he was aggressive. This 3-point shot, 1 for 8. If you really want to nitpick, 1 for 8, 3-point shot, just one dropping. And it is what it is. It just wasn't his night. 8 for 17, so he definitely stayed aggressive. And that's what you want from Jordan Poole, because look, he's the guy. He's the guy leading this team. He's the number one option. And with him, Bilal, we're going to talk about him in a minute, but that's the 1-2 punch now. And very intrigued to see what they can do in the second half when both of them have that official green light, because I think they're going to be a really nice 1-2 punch for a young Wizards team. So Poole's 21 points, started slow, but he picked it up in the second half. And like I said, the fourth quarter run had a lot to do with him. Not only 21 points, but 5 rebounds. Those 5 boards are a good stat to look at. And then 6 assists. Now, the turnovers, 5 turnovers. Like I said, he was aggressive. And the battle between him and Trae Young, I think it was kind of even between those two. They played hard against each other, but they were forced turnovers off of each other. But like I said, I also believe fouls. Fouls were an issue for JP last night. But like I said, started slow, but he picked it up in the second half. Be cool. Bilal Coulibaly, 17.7 boards, 6 for 20 from the field, 1 for 5 for 3. Now I'm saying this, all right. I know what you guys are thinking. Man, the efficiency went out the daggone window. But I'm gonna say this. I think the important factor to take out of his 20 attempts is he has confidence. And when you're the second fiddle with Jordan Poole, you want Bilal to be confident, because the confidence is where he's going to definitely break out in the second half, man, because the confidence is what is that dog factor. We know he can defend, but offensively, when he's confident, he's a really good offensive weapon, man. The biggest thing with Bilal is what? Consistency. We just need to see that consistency, but he's got the green light in the second half, because they need, look, don't get it twisted. Going into year 3, there going to be heavy expectations on Bilal Coulibaly. And it should, because I think he's proven that he's going to put the work in to be more of a consistent offensive threat, as opposed to just being a defensive guy, where I think he's an all defensive team level talent on defense. And I think he's a star, because once he figures out his offensive game on a consistent basis, he's going to be a heck of a player. He's going to be a weapon on both ends of the court, man. So, like I said, good performance. He was aggressive. 17 points. He was aggressive. Like I said, 6 for 20. 1 steal, 1 block, and only 1 turnover. So his improved ball handling, has really relegated him to lower numbers and as far as turnovers, man. So like I said, I think Be Cool is going to eat in the second half. Justin Shimpney got to start at power forward, and he capitalized, man. 10 points, 8 rebounds. The board numbers with Shimpney always impresses me, man. We know that he can score, but between him and Keyshawn George at the 4, I think that, yes, long-term, Keyshawn George or Justin Shimpney aren't the options at the 4 long-term. But I think that you definitely put them out there at the 4 to see what they can do in the second half of the season. Undersized, yes. But I think that both of them have that drive, that dog factor, the work ethic. They're going to do well at the 4, even though in certain matchups, obviously, there's going to be a size difference. But Shimpney, again, his board numbers, he was efficient, 4 for 8. So Rashawn Holmes, another guy who is always a big effort guy, 10 points, 8 rebounds. In certain matchups, he's undersized for a center, but 4 for 6 from the field and 1 block. So Rashawn Holmes, man, yes, he can be limited offensively, but he's an effort guy. He's always has high energy in the paint. That dog factor. He plays with a chip on the shoulder, and he's just a guy who really fights the paint. So I'm becoming more and more a fan of Rashawn Holmes, man, because just from an effort standpoint. All right, let's take a look at the second unit real quick, guys. And like I said, some good and bad moments. Now, Kispert, better as far as just overall. 7 rebounds, a very encouraging number from him. 5 assists, 13 points. 1 for 7 from 3. 3-point shot just was not dropping, but 6 for 13 for the field. So not bad for Kispert. Definitely, want to get back to being a sniper, but like I said, he found ways to get involved. 7 boards, 5 assists. Malcolm Brogdon, not his best night. All 7 points from the free throw line. Had a couple turnovers, I believe. I'm trying to remember I believe in the third quarter. Not his best night, and we know that Brogdon can play. And we're going to talk about him in a minute as far as buyout candidate, because I do think he could be bought out. Not his best night again. 4 assists, and he made a few mistakes, but like I said, he's a vet. He's going to bounce back. I'm not concerned. So not his best night, but he will be okay. Tristan Vucevic, in only 14 minutes, got 8 points, 8 rebounds, shot 3 for 6 from the field, 1 for 3 from 3, and 1 steal. So you see the potential with him. He just needs playing time. He hasn't caught the amount of playing time that he should have gotten over the course of the last couple of years, man. So in the second half of the season, give him time, give him that playing time, see if we can indeed develop him and being the backup center of the future. And then AJ Johnson, 7 minutes, but 2 points, 1 rebound, 1 assist. And I was kind of watching him in shoot around, man. I'll say this about AJ Johnson. His ball handling is downright nasty. So the brother can handle the rock, man. We know he can shoot. We know he can drive. He's got the speed. Now, do you want to kind of see him get in the weight room and get a little stronger? Yeah, absolutely. Not to the point where it's a detriment to his speed, but I think that at 6'4", 160 pounds, he could probably get away with 15, 20 pounds of just getting there and getting strong. Not so much mass, but the strength, because there's a difference in as far as weightlifting, man. I mean, you can get big, but look, let's be real. Not every guy that was huge in the gym is strong, and not every guy that's small is not strong. You know what I mean? You know, the strength training, I think, is more needed for him because you don't really need to see him bulk up. You don't need Eric Gordon out there. If you guys remember, Eric Gordon was like a swole cat. There's a couple guys in the league. I'm trying to remember. Eric Bledsoe was another guy who, you know, he's just a real stocky guy, man. And it really became a detriment to his speed. So overall, guys, you got to play 4 quarters. And, you know, defense has been an issue all year. And while it was slightly better and you see more energy on the defensive side with this team, you know, being younger, but they're just not quite there on the level that we need them to be. And will they get there this year? Probably not. You're probably looking at defense as far as bringing in more personnel who fits BK's defensive system and letting BK really work with these guys in the second half and see if we can definitely take that step in the right direction defensively next year. So, all right, guys, we already talked about buyout. So we're going to look at, is Malcolm Brogdon a buyout candidate? Why and why not? And a couple of new additions, young new additions as far as guards that I think are very intriguing. So before we get into that, tonight's episode is brought to you by SKIMS. When I found out SKIMS was making underwear for men, I was very intrigued. Indeed. I've heard so much about their quality from friends and family, so I had to give it a try. Let me tell you, it lives up to the hype. I've always had issues with underwear, right? I'm a bigger cat. I've always been a football player growing up, man. I'm kind of a broad-shouldered guy, man. And the only time I was really skinny was in the Army. But, you know, fit, comfort, and just finding the right style for me has always been an issue. You know, being comfortable, having underwear there where you, if you're somebody who's multi-purpose like myself, who's always on the go, always doing something, you can work out, go out with the family, go out to dinner with the wife. You know, you have an underwear that is a Swiss Army knife, right? So look, SKIMS changed all that for me. Their men's line offers something for everyone, from boxer briefs to classic briefs, all designed with a perfect balance, comfort, and style. Like I said, guys, I'm a big believer. I checked out SKIMS, and like I said, they're very, very comfortable. They're breathable. And if you're a person that, you know, tries to do different things throughout the day, you know, if you're a parent, if you work out, and you have a problem trying to find the right underwear to really accommodate all those different areas of your life, I'm telling you, definitely rock with SKIMS, man. So look, shop SKIMS Mens at skims.com and SKIMS stores. Let them know we sent you after you place your order, select podcast and survey, and let our show in the drop down menu that follows. And if you're looking for the perfect gift for your Valentine or for yourself, come on now. SKIMS just launched their best Valentine's shop ever. Available in sizes for women, men, kids, and even pets. Come on, man. Get fight all those draws. All right, everybody. SKIMS. Definitely check it out. All right, everybody. We're getting into the next topic, which is Malcolm Brogdon a buyout candidate? Why or why not? But before we do, we're going to get into a couple of moves made. The first one, and these are the official press releases from the Washington Wizards. So shout out to Monumental Sports. Appreciate you. The first one is Washington signs Jalen Noel to a 10-day contract. And it says the Washington Wizards announced today that they have signed guard Jalen Noel to a 10-day contract. Noel, 6'4", 201 pounds, is a 25-year-old guard in a 6th career NBA season. The Washington product has appeared in 205 career NBA games between the Minnesota Timberwolves, Memphis Grizzlies, Detroit Pistons, and New Orleans Pelicans. Averaging 8.9 points per game, 2.2 rebounds, and 1.9 assists per game. Noel has also played in 78 games in the NBA G League with the Iowa Wolves, the Stockton Kings, and the Capital City Go-Go. What? Averaging 20.5 points per game and 4.3 rebounds, including 4.1 assists per game. In 21 games with the Go-Go this season, Noel has averaged 25.1 points, 4.5 rebounds, 5.3 assists per game, while shooting 53% from the field and 53% from three. All right, now, so before we get into the other player, Jalen Noel coming out of the draft, I think he's a baller. I think he is a really good piece for this team. Now, where does he fit? Being a guard. Now, looking at it real quick, it looks like you could say combo guard, 6'4", 200, so he'll be kind of a taller point guard to a certain degree. But where would he fit? Now, obviously, Jordan Poole is our starter. He's the franchise guy right now. Bub Carrington is backing him up. Now, we're going to talk about Malcolm Brogdon in a minute. Where does he fit? Because, you know, you looking at some of these guards we have in the fold. You know, now that we have A.J. Johnson, now we have Jalen Noel, and then we have another guard that I'm going to talk about in a minute. Is, you know, you're having a lot of depth, but playing time. You best believe that Jordan Poole obviously is going to get the majority of minutes, if not overall. He's probably competing with Bilal is the most minutes played. And I think that's definitely the best recipe for success. You definitely want Jordan Poole and Bilal to get the most minutes, in my opinion, especially Alex Sarr coming back. We have Chris, minutes is starting five, not an issue, in my opinion. But the second unit is where it becomes interesting because Bub Carrington, in my eyes right now, is backing up Jordan Poole. And I think that Malcolm Brogdon, like I said, we're going to talk about him, but I think the writing's on the wall for him a little bit. And like I said, injuries have been an issue for him. And Bub Carrington, especially dropping his career high 23 points, is more and more looking like he's the guy, not only is possibly the sixth man, even though Marcus Smart is probably going to be that guy going into next year. But Bub Carrington is very intriguing on second unit. So where does he fit in? Right now, it's a depth piece. Now, I think that with the team signing him and the next guy, I think that is one of the indicators that Malcolm Brown is going to be bought out. He's probably going to try to catch on with another team who's trying to make a playoff push because while he could be a very valuable veteran here, we all know that a youth movement has started and they're going to prioritize these young guys. And yes, you need some veteran leadership. And I think that came in the form of Marcus Smart, a guy who's, again, a combo guard himself. He can run point. He can also be a shooting guard. So I think Marcus Smart, to a certain degree, because he has been available and hasn't dealt with the same amount of injury issues per se. I think Malcolm Brogdon, the writings on the wall, I think they will try to do a buyout. And like I said, Malcolm Brogdon is not a talent that he can play. He's a baller, former Sixth Man of the Year award winner, but injuries have been an issue this year. And like I said, when we're talking about the trade deadline, a lot of teams are hesitant to make a move for him because of the injuries. $22.5 million is a lot for a guy who may or may not be available in a potential playoff push for a contending team. So, all right, the second person I want to talk to real quick is Jalen Martin. Like I said, I'm high on this kid, man. You can play two guard, but at 6'6", 216 pounds, I think he fits more at forward, man, especially small forward, exclusively small forward. And it says the Washington Wizards announced today they have signed forward Jalen Martin to a two-way contract. Martin, 6'6", 216 pounds, is a 21-year-old forward and his second season out of overtime elite. He was previously on a two-way contract with the Brooklyn Nets this season, appearing in 3 games for the Nets and 12 games for the Long Island Nets, their G League affiliate. Martin has played 10 games for the Delaware Blue Coats, and in his 22 total NBA G League appearances this season, he's averaging 16 points, 4 rebounds, and 2 assists per game. The brother man is from Tallahassee, Florida. He has also played in 28 NBA G League games this last season with the Long Island Nets and the Westchester Knicks, averaging 12 points, 4 rebounds, and 1 assist per game. So, like I said, we got AJ Johnson. CD Sissoko was actually picked up by another team, so I don't even have to worry about pronouncing the man's name or messing it up so bad because he was picked up by another team. And, I kind of liked him as a prospect, especially being a rebuilding team. But like I said, he was picked up by another squad. So hats goes off to him, man, and hope he finds success. But now you got AJ Johnson. Now, and with this move, man, with Jalen Martin, man, I think it's a very intriguing move. It's a very, very intriguing move. Now, don't forget, we have a lot of young talent here. So, again, where does he fit? Now, when you look at forward, you best believe that, Corey Kispert and Justin Shippensy are going to get a lot of the minutes at the 4 and 3 as far as being a combination forwards on the second unit. Now, I look at him as a depth piece. You're probably looking at a guy who's going to spend more time with the go-go than with the Wizards till there's an injury or something like that, because again, we're past the trade deadline. So, he's good depth, very intriguing move for the future, because like I said, general manager Will Dawkins, man. I'd like to shout out to my guy, Will Dawkins, man. I hollered at him last night and definitely told him, man, he did an immaculate job at the trade deadline. He picked up a lot of young prospects. So even if they don't play this year, they're going to get an extended look, especially summer league. Preseason, they're going to get a look because the youth movement has started. And especially when you look at vets like Marcus Smart, where I'm very excited to have Marcus Smart on this team because he's a dog. He brings toughness. Chris Middleton. But don't forget that next year they are expiring contracts. So the chances are we're going to be able to flip them. And so we're going to get younger in the second half of the season, and going into year 3 is going to be, we're already the youngest team in the league. We're probably going to be the youngest team in the last century because we're going to be young. And yes, you need veteran leadership. And you could argue, and like I said, I was talking to my guy, man, shout out to my guy, Matt, man, who's a Boston Celtics fan. And he was, he's been high on, he's very high on Marcus Smart. He says that could be a guy where, it could be a guy that you bring here long term. I think Marcus Smart could be a guy that you keep here long term. And Chris Middleton, we'll see. It really depends on what the asking prices are. But Marcus Smart's a guy where I think he'd definitely be that veteran guy. Bring some toughness to the guards. Like Jonas Valanciunas brought to the centers. So like I said, you definitely need veteran guys as far on any young team. You don't want a team that's all young. You need some veteran leadership. And So I think that Marcus Smart could be a long-term piece, at least for 2-year contract, because again, he brings toughness, and I think he would do wonders with Jordan Poole. Jordan Poole is a fringe all-star. Now, if Marcus Smart can really get him, in defensively, he's gotten better. But here's the thing, I'd like to see a lot more dog factor with him on the defensive end. I think he'll get there. JP13 has definitely put that work in, and Bub Carrington is, brings that dog factor in D2. So, like I said, it's intriguing to see how much toughness Marcus Smart can bring. So, it really comes down to the question, which leads into this is the question of the night for everybody: should the Wizards look to a buyout Malcolm Brogdon? I'm gonna say yes. I think that you have to prioritize, especially from the point guard position. I think that you have to prioritize Bub Carrington, and to a lesser degree, AJ Johnson. I think AJ Johnson has shown very little. In the last couple games, he's got 4 points. But when ball, man, like I said, it's like baseball scouts. The old time scouts where they say you just go out there and they know a sound. And when I was watching AJ Johnson as shoot around, man, and you just see certain traits that I think that if they can really, really develop him, he's going to be a really good player. He was picked at 23rd right before we got Keyshawn George, man, and we see how good Keyshawn George is. So I think you had to prioritize development. And with AJ Johnson and Bub, because Bub dropped 33 points, he's ready to break out. Not for only this year, but next year. But that's a very encouraging sign when he drops 23 points. But I think points have to go towards, especially when you look at the guard rotation on the second unit, Marcus Smart, Bub Carrington, and then to a lesser degree, AJ Johnson. That's the priority with minutes. Injuries have been an issue. And like I said, it's not production. Even though Malcolm Brogdon hasn't had the production that he likes this year, a lot of that has to do with being in and out of being hurt. And I think the writing's on the wall. Let's see if, we can give him an opportunity to go get it with another team. But I don't, right now with Marcus Smart, I think Marcus Smart canceled out Malcolm Brogdon. Like I said, nothing against Malcolm Brogdon. I think he's been a really good player here in DC, really good mentor, but the injuries have been a concern. And his production's been up and down. And a lot of that has to do with being injured all the time and not, finding that rhythm. It's tough to find a rhythm when you're in and out of the lineup because of injuries. So I think Marcus Smart has picked up as being that veteran guard. And I think that, yes, we need to go ahead and buy out Malcolm Brogdon, clear some cap space, man, and call it a day. Like I said, appreciate your service, Malcolm. You were a really good guard here. And I'm a guy who really wanted you on the Wizards years ago because, he's a baller. He can play. It's just availability is your best ability. And the injuries have been an issue. So, all right, everybody, like I said, the question of the night is, should the Washington Wizards buy out Malcolm Brogdon? So we're going to get in the comments. And because like I said, I appreciate you guys wanted to get the show out there before the Super Bowl because I know the Super Bowl starts at 6:30. So let's get through comments. But I wanted to go ahead and recap and chop it up with you guys before the Super Bowl. So we're going to get in the comments and chop it up. But before we do, tonight's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. When the game tips off, the NBA action is just getting started. And there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. With FanDuel, you can place live bets throughout the game. So if you missed the opening tip-off or want to bet on a fourth quarter comeback, you can stay in on the action. And if you're looking for a bigger payout, you can even combine your live bets into the same game parlay. Ooh, man, I like that. So, guys, I hit on a parlay last night with the Wizards, man. Appreciate Trae Young for them 10 assists. And definitely appreciate Jordan Poole with the 20-plus points, man. So, like I said, guys, right now, not only with the NBA, Major League Baseball is coming up in a few months, and you got the Super Bowl. So there's a lot of opportunities for you guys to make some cash and do it relatively easy with some ease. Right now, new FanDuel customers, that is, can get $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right, guys, let's get in the comments. And like I said, the question of the day is, should the Wizards buy out Malcolm Brogdon? And like I said, guys, I wanted to get this video out and chop it up with you guys before the Super Bowl because if I did the video at 7, man, nobody's going to be watching this video. The Super Bowl is going to be on, man. So, most of the world's going to be watching the Super Bowl, if not the whole country. So, I definitely want to get this content out to you guys before things get busy with the Chiefs and the Eagles because I'm probably not watching. I don't care for either team. And I'm probably gonna take the wife out for dinner, man. I'm sorry, I can't watch it, man. I just can't do it. So let's start things off. Lock the Law says, "What's all the hubbub?" I like that, Bub, man. He showed out. This is what I'm talking about, Bub Carrington. This is what I'm talking about, Bub. If you are watching, man, I'm telling you, this is what we're expecting, man, from you. We know that potential is through the roof with Bub Carrington, man. And when you look at this previous draft, and then you look before that, Bilal, and then the moves made at the deadline, Will Dawkins deserves a lot of respect for what he's done in a relatively short time as a general manager here in Washington. I mean, this was probably the best deadline we've had in a long time, and I think a lot of that has to do with Will Dawkins, man. He's doing an immaculate job. Like Brian says, Bub had a game, 71% three-pointers. The team, though, 25% three-point shooting and 17 turnovers, not cutting it. The turnovers were a huge issue, man. The turnovers, it was sloppy basketball. And you're going to expect that with a younger team. I mean, those are the expectations for the second half. But, like I said, with any young players, just like, and I don't want to compare these young men to children because they're not children. They're grown men. But it's kind of like raising a child, right? You want them to make those mistakes early on to really learn those hard lessons, to build calluses, right? To know what and what not to do in the future. So you want those mistakes in the second half. And like I said, I don't want to compare them to kids because they're not. They're grown men, but you guys kind of get the correlation with what I'm saying. So appreciate you, Nomadic Brian, man. Says Booker Getter says, notice how when Kuz left, Bilal got a trip dub, JP career high, Bub career high, and Keyshawn is fortune. Look, Booker Getter, I am not going to disagree with you, man. I think that nothing gets Kuz. I ain't gonna kick him out the door. It is what it is. I'm not going to criticize guy. Definitely hope he finds success in Milwaukee or wherever else he plays. Thank you for your service. But I mean, let's be real. It had a damper on his young squad. And like you said, Bilal got the triple-double. JP is ready to be the man. And Bub career high and Keyshawn's flourishing. So I think the writing's on the wall for that one. So I definitely appreciate you, man. Locked and Law says they still play no defense. The defense, slightly more energy, but yeah, I wasn't that good, man. I mean, transition and the perimeter are the biggest areas, man, because when we switch off defenders, man, we do it slow. And I saw it last night, and it gets you, man, because you got to make those switches faster. Any team that has fluid ball movement, and Atlanta, I'll say this from games I've covered this year, Atlanta was back and forth as far as their communication and chemistry on offense and the ball movement. But the Lakers was one game where you really saw a difference where when a team has that chemistry and that fluid ball movement, you just see it. And the Lakers had that, and they just exposed the fact that we make defensive switches off defenders, man, very slow. And we had to be faster in that regard. Locked the Law also says Marcus Smart would not have let Trae Young drop 35 on him if he had been able to play. I mean, that's an interesting take. I can respect that. And like I said, Jordan Poole has done a lot, providing more energy on the defensive end, and his defensive numbers are a lot better because last year he was not a good defender, so he's put the work in. But Marcus Smart would have been a really good defender for Trae Young, in my opinion. Nothing against JP13. He's fringe all-star. JP13, you already know, man. Mad respect for your game, bro. But Marcus Smart is one of those guys where it's kind of like Bilal. Put Bilal on, your best player on the other team or forwards. You have more capabilities now with Marcus Smart. It's not just Bilal put on the best player on the other team. He's backed up by Marcus Smart, where you can go out there and shut down the other team's point guard or two guard, man. So, like I said, you have capabilities, Marcus Smart, because he's still a really good defender. I mean, this is a guy who, he's probably one of the best defenders in the NBA the last 10 years, in my opinion. He's definitely in the top 10, in my opinion. So he's a guy who brings a lot of toughness to DC, and I think that you should consider bringing him back next year. Let's see, Bucket Getter had to get at me, didn't you, man? Says, go Birds, time to dethrone Mahomes. Saquon about to tear these fools up. Bird gang. I'll say this, man, like I said, my wife is related to Jalen Hurts through marriage, so technically he's family. So I think that's the one factor that makes me kind of root for the Eagles, even though I hate the Eagles. But I do like Jalen Hurts. I've always kind of been a big fan of him, man. But so I guess if I'm rooting for anybody, I guess Philly, but I just don't care. I mean, I might look at the game here and there, man, but I'm not invested in it, like I would, because it's just the Chiefs, and I'm not gonna say that the league is helping them, man. It's like I think a lot of us have fatigue. I think a lot of us want to see Washington or Buffalo or even Philly and Buffalo. You wanted to see some kind of difference, man, like a different, matchup. So, Sammy, how you doing today, man? It says Bub Rookie of the Year. He's in the conversation, but I think that Alex Sarr, when it's all said and done, has a real chance to get that award. But I think that Bub Carrington is a sleeper, man, an absolute sleeper. Antisocial Extrovert says, happy Sunday. You as well. Hope all is well. Absolutely. Likewise. I can't wait to see all your youngins in the court together. When does Sarr return? I mean, he had an ankle sprain, so we'll see with Alex Sarr. I think he should definitely be looking to ramp up the next week or so. So we definitely need to get him back into the fold because he was playing some good basketball and he was improving every single week. So you don't want to see an injury kind of hold up his progress, man, as far as him getting better and better within every single week, man. Jesse Kenda James, how you doing? Says I need a Poole, Sar, or Blau jersey. Like I said, now that I had the media credentials, like when I go to the games, I can't wear jerseys. But I was able to go just as a fan last night, kind of enjoy myself with a good friend of mine. And I won my first ever Blau jersey, man. So it was the new city edition. So I was, I got my Blau. I just picked up a Sar. And I got my Poole. I got my Poole last year, man. So anybody even they had an up and down year. I grabbed my Poole last year because I was very excited to have him on the team. So yeah, man, definitely. I like those new city editions. They have, man. So definitely get out there and get one. Dan Tico 84 says, what's more likely to get bought out? Brogdon, Middleton, and Smart. I'd say Brogdon and keep Middleton and Smart for next season and look to move them at the deadline. I agree 100%. Great minds think alike, right? I think you buy out Brogdon. I think you keep Middleton until next year, shop him in the offseason, and Marcus Smart, you sign him. I think you bring him back past next year. Let's see. Jesse James says, you kind of echo the same thing. I think Middleton should stay as a mentor to this young team. Oh, I can see that. Yeah. And he can become a veteran leader while they build around Poole, Bilal, Sar, Carrington, and George. I agree 100%. I mean, Middleton, I think is a guy that, we'll see. But you keep him around. You definitely. But I think that, from what I've gathered, they're going to try to shop him and see if he wants to pick on with a contending team. But we'll see. Because I think he can, like you said, can really be a good mentor for these young forwards, man, we have in Washington. Let's see. And he also says they need to move Brogdon for first picks and keep Smart as a veteran defensive backup for Poole and keep Middleton for mentoring. We know how good of a scorer he is. He can help. I mean, with the trade deadline coming and going, and him being an expiring contract, we're not going to be able to get any kind of draft compensation from him. And so I think that's the best course of action is to buy him out because, if going to the offseason, he's going to be a free agent. So we missed that opportunity. And like I said, there was interest, but a lot of teams are hesitant to make that move because of his injuries. So Locked and Law says nobody is trading a first for Brogdon. Be serious. I mean, I agree with you. Simmer down a little bit, Lock and Law, but definitely, I agree. A lot of people were definitely hesitant to include a first round pick for a guy who has had injury issues, not just this year, but the last couple of seasons. So, my man Jay says, just saying thanks for doing what you do. B Scott, locked in daily since day one. Appreciate you, man. Been rocking with your boy since day one. Appreciate you, man. You seen, man, look, it's been a long road, man, but I've enjoyed myself. So definitely appreciate you, man. Since day one, showing you love in sports. So definitely appreciate you. Self-made man in California says, I think Dylan Harper is a better point guard. Bub is a shooting guard. Poole in 27 pick for another big man with Sar. That's interesting. And I can respect that take. And that wouldn't be a bad backcourt if you decide to move on from Jordan Poole at some point. Dylan Harper and Bub Carrington would be a magical young backcourt. But like I said, we're in a good position because Jordan Poole could be a keeper. Now, obviously, the better he plays, the more interest he's going to get. So like I said, we're in a good position because we could trade him for a good package, in my opinion, especially if he continues the trend he's playing. And then you have the capabilities to build a younger backcourt. So I think the biggest key is we have choices. We have a lot of flexibility, and then it goes to this front office. Michael Winger and Will Dawkins and Travis Schlenk, they've done a great job building this team. They've done a great job, in my opinion. They're not done. We still have ways to go, but you see progress because you didn't see this type of magical trade deadline with Ernie Grunfeld or Tommy Shepard. Most of the time, we just let the trade deadline scratch our heads and wonder what happened, right? So see, guys, we're at the 33-minute mark, so I'm gonna try to knock out a few more. Let's see, and definitely appreciate you guys rocking with me today, man. Like I said, I had a ball last night, but ultimately just could play 4 quarters, man. Dan T84 says, I'm sold on Flag, though, and Wolf. Oh, I'm with you on that. I mean, you can't go wrong with Cooper Flag. I'm trying to tell you, man. I Locked and Law says, I bet a whole lot of people don't care at all about the Super Bowl. I don't. It is what it is. I need to see something different. I'm just tired of Kansas City. And like I said, Philly, I think if I had to choose, man, I would say Philly. I don't know. It is what it is. All right. Gideon, how you doing, man? It says, just to let you know, whoever we draft this year is going to be the number one option from the get-go. I can respect that take. I can agree, especially if it's Cooper Flag. Ace Bailey, I definitely agree. Dylan Harper, I don't see him out the gate being the number one option out the gate, but I think he could definitely develop into that number one option. It really depends on the dynamics of the roster at that point, man. But I can definitely respect and agree with you, man. Especially if it's Ace Bailey and Cooper Flag, because they have that number one option potential at the gate. And not to say that Dylan Harper can't be, but I think that with him being a guard, man, it's going to take a little bit before he could be that number one guy. So I hate to miss anybody's comments, man. I hate to miss anybody's comments, but let's see. We're gonna do 2 more guys. Let's see. Sheldon T, you echo my sentiment exactly. I can't root for another NFC East team. I'm with you, man. I said that's what I'm saying. I don't care about this Super Bowl because I hate Philly and I don't not like Kansas City, so I'm just not invested, guys. So I'm probably just gonna look over some tape of some of these players that we picked up, and definitely gonna do some videos with breaking down these new prospects we were able to acquire, guys. So definitely be on the lookout this week coming up. Because I'm gonna really dig deep in a lot of these prospects and really give you the nitty-gritty on what they provide and where they fit on this team long term. Sammy, I'm gonna do 2 more guys. Do you think Bud has Tyrese Maxey potential? Maxey is a top 5 in scoring in the NBA right now, and is more of a passer like Halliburton. What do you think? That's a good comparison, man. That's a good comparison. It really is. I think that I like that take. I do. Now, Tyrese Maxey had to be developed, and now he is a heck of a guard, man. I'm telling you, Tyrese Maxey. I've been a fan of him. I'm a University of Kentucky guy, so Maxey was just. I already like Maxey out the gate, but I like that take. I like that comparison. All right, guys, this is gonna be the last one. I definitely appreciate you guys. And this from Alan. It says, I love the channel, man. You do a great job. Things are going to get better in the next couple of years, especially if we can get the number 1 pick in one of these next 2 drafts. Yeah, man. Like I said, much love. I love and appreciate you guys, man. Definitely appreciate everybody, man. Definitely appreciate you guys taking time out of your day to rock with me. So, Alan, appreciate you. Much love, man. So, all right, guys, we're going to go ahead and call it a day real quick. Now, obviously, real quick, I'm going to go look towards the future as far as content, what they expect this week coming up, guys. So, let me take a look at the schedule because, like I said, it is a homestand right now. So, we're going to be at home. But, like I said, I'm going to dig deep into prospects this week, too. So, Monday, they are home against the San Antonio Spurs. So, we will be going live again at 9:30. Now, Friday, I will be at Capital One covering the team against the Bucks, and I may be at the Pacers game. We'll see. So, like I said, we got the Spurs Monday, the Pacers Wednesday, and we have the Bucks on Friday, and then they head to Orlando for one road game against the Magic. So, like I said, guys, probably be Tuesday and Thursday. We're gonna go over prospects and we're gonna go over what to expect and where they fit. So definitely be on the lookout, man, because I'm gonna cover. I already covered AJ Johnson, what to expect. So we're gonna get into some of these prospects. Man, Kobe Jones, what can he provide? And go from there. So definitely be on the lookout for that. If you're kind of wondering what to expect from these young prospects that we acquired and where they fit long term. So all right, guys. I will see you guys tomorrow night. We're gonna go live at 9:30 to recap the Spurs and Wizards game. So hail to the Wizards and peace. Everybody have a blessed night.